Cool. Um, thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. I want this to be interactive. I always say that, guys, I am one of you guys, right? Um, came into Canada, maybe 15 years ago. I lost count now, but I am one of you. My parents brought me when I was really young, but I could understand the struggles of all of those things. So when I am here, I want us to kind of relate as, ask me any questions and also put something in the chat because, I can't see everybody, right? But you guys can see me. So it kind of give me positive energy when you guys are, connecting back with me, okay? So when I say put something in the chat, I really do appreciate it when you guys do that. Okay. So I am Deborah Ojo. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, anywhere. It's Deborahomes. And I started real estate investing mainly to make money, like everybody else. Because I started, I was studying a lot of things. I was a teacher. I was studying a lot of things. And I saw that, hey, my kids at the time, I was struggling to keep them to participate in the kind of participation that I want as a parent. I wanted it to be there for all their PA meetings. I wanted to be there to play with them, to, play in the sun with them, without necessarily having to, ask for excuse from my boss or every single time. So it was time and it was money. And I live in a city where, a lot of people were doing different things. And in the city where I am, Brampton, if you're in Brampton, I'm putting you in Brampton, put it in chat. Okay, many people don't like Brampton, but I am one of those people that has stayed in Brampton for so long and I love it. But in Brampton, a lot of people, they are living here and they are buying things in cash. So I go to the store, I see people buying something in cash, and you are looking at, oh, which one is cheaper on the rack, which one is on the sales menu, and you're kind of conditioned to it. And I saw myself and I said, hey, wait a minute, life doesn't have to be like this. This is not what God has in plan. This is not why I came Canada. So I started saying that there has to be a better way to doing things. So, and that's when I came into real estate. So we bought our first property and we bought our second property and everything is story. Well, that's a little bit about me. So I'm an investor, I'm a real estate agent, I'm a mom, wife, all of that, okay? What I want to start with is programming our RAS system. I don't know if anybody have heard about the word RAS system. It's our reticular activating system. It's a system where, you want to buy a RAV4. RAV4 is old now. I'm not very good in cars, but let's say I love to wear white outfits. As soon as I know that and I'm aware that I love white, I just get attracted to it. Everywhere I go, I see people wearing white. It's now like white is a common thing. You just started to notice all of this things. So this thing, it's like a system that helps us to filter things through what we have accepted, what we are focused on, and this thing just brings it to us. It's like you're watching. I used to have nightmares because I love action movies, and whenever I watch action movies, and I'll have nightmares. I'll with my husband when we just got married like 12 years ago. It will be like, okay, tomorrow, can you stop watching action movies? Because all of these things are coming to your dream, and that is why you're scared. So whatever we put on our RAS, whatever thing we put in our system, it comes to us, right? So as I am bringing all this information to you guys, and I am bringing this things to your awareness, you will start to notice that people are doing all of these things. As you read more, as you immerse yourself into all of this information, real estate, how people are doing it, people making money, you start to see that you notice it more and more. For example, something that we are noticing more and more right now is what? Who can tell me? I know I put it on the screen, but what we are noticing more and more right now is interest rates has gone up, recession, the economy is down, government policies here and there, they're trying to strategize increasing interest rates, interventions, and all of that. There's a lot of institutional investors that are coming as a group and they're buying houses in places like Calgary, Toronto, Brampton, all of those places, right? So those are things that, people just keep saying. You open your internet, especially for people like me that are, in the real estate world, but also in the financial world, you start to notice all of these things, interest rates everywhere you go. Even my daughter that is 9 years old is like, oh, mommy, in the news yesterday, Super 24 is what we watch in GTA. They were saying that Canadians are now starting to borrow money to pay for their bills. And my 9-year-old was like, oh, mommy, look at that. Why was she able to pick that out of all the things they said? Because mommy has probably been talking about interest rates, finances, and all of those things. So whatever we feed our brain with, whatever we feed our time with, is what comes to us. Okay. So as we are saying, how do we make money? How do I do these things? It's more of what you focus your energy in. Those are things that come in. And when I'm looking at this slide, I also wanted to talk about just the things we feed ourselves with. But then the flip side of it is, how are people still buying houses? How is, Deborah Ojo and all of these big investors, what do they know that we don't know? That, they are still buying tons and tons of houses, and I am just scared in one corner, in the corner of my room, and I can't move, paralyzed by fear. What is it that people know? So you then begin to research and say, how am I going to do it? Okay. The thing for this webinar is buying house in Canada, one house at a time. How do we buy houses in Canada one way at a time? That is the focus. We are not focusing on the fear. We're trying to, just focus ourselves and say, what is it that I need to know? How is it that I'm going to buy my first house, my second house, and my 10th house, and my 20th house? It just depends on how much you want to buy. Now, a lot of you, I have coach, so you hear me, you're still drinking water and hear this voice. So I hope you guys are still enjoying it. I'll try to keep up with the chat as well. RAS system, yes. Have you heard about RAS system? Passive income, okay. So why real estate? Why do we want real estate? Why is it that real estate is important? I want you guys to drop it in the chats below. What is it about real estate? Why are you interested in real estate? What is it about real estate that interests you? I want you to put this in the chat, and I will move on unless I see at least 5 comments, okay? Because I told you guys, I would not be the only person talking here. You guys are gonna have to interact with me. So why real estate? It's a form of investment, I know, but what are you looking for in your investments? Why don't I go and invest in stocks and crypto, go back to Nigeria and invest, all of those things? Why real estate? I wanna know. Build wealth faster, okay? We are moving closer, okay? I'm liking it. It's getting more concrete and more concrete. High returns, okay, now we're talking. Remember, Deborah had to quit what is a 6-figure job to go and do real estate. Why real estate? Multiple streams of income. It's showing me that a lot of people actually know what they are here for. So I really like that. Stability, safety of investment. Yes, all of those things are real estate. But when I was dealing in real estate, these are some of the things that came to mind. My goals was, my dad brought me years and years ago. And one of the reasons why immigrants come to this country are to supplement our income sometimes. Some people, they have so much money. In my own case, my parents, they have, all the tons and tons of money, right? They came here because there was job opportunity. It took them 10 years to even do their process of this immigrating to Canada, because at that time it was so tough. Or there was a break, just like COVID happened, and so many things stopped. That was what happened then. But at that time, it took them 10 years, but they still stayed on. Why? Because they have a goal and they wanted to increase their income. So when I'm looking at when I'm making 100 figures, but then I don't have enough time, I don't have all those things, but I'm just working and it looks like I'm saving for money. And as I was working over time, at that point, I'm like, listen, and for you guys that are here, I said, listen, I know you're bringing in money and I do appreciate it, but can you spend time with us at home? Can you stay with us? Can we go on a date night? Can you stay with the kids so that we can just see you at home? It wasn't just the money, it was, we wanted you to spend time with us. So as a woman, men think sometimes, oh, when I'm bringing money in, that is it. No, that is not it. We want your time, we want your attention. And some men would be like, how am I going to combine with this? Well, that's why maybe you should start investing passively into real estate. Remember, we had some money to start our first property, which was from our employment. So I'm not saying go quit your job, but I'm saying from that employment, then we invested that money into our first home. We sold that house about 18 months later, we made $300,000. And after that, I went full-time into real estate because I was just so obsessed. So the second reason for me is time with family, time with friends, time to do whatever it is that you want to do, whatever heck you want to do. You want to travel. If you follow me on social media, I travel a lot because it's just something that I enjoy. I do not drink, I do not party, but I just love to travel. It just fulfills me. So whatever it is that you want time to do, whether it's spending it with your family or anything, that's what real estate affords you. The other thing is generational wealth. I happen to have 4 kids. And listen, I tell myself, when everybody's doing 1 hour job, I need to double mine to 4. Why? Because I have an extra large family. And I want to make sure each and every one of my kids have at least one house. Think about it. I know a lot of people are in Calgary, but in the GTA, even in Calgary, it's not that easy to afford a house anymore. It's becoming almost unaffordable for an average family. In the GTA, I tell people, listen, my brothers and sisters, I wish I can see your face. But if you're making $100,000 in the GTA, you're not making any money. Forget it. You're not making, you're barely surviving because groceries has gone up, everything has gone up, so you're barely just surviving. So think about it now. If I want to buy things if I want my kids to at least be able to sustain themselves, or even like, let's say they are going to school, they are going to law school, or they are going to study medicine, and it's not sponsored by OSAP or anything. Now they need that much money. They need $300,000 for medicine, and you don't have it. You're making 100,000. How are you gonna afford it? Things like that. So, and how are you gonna make sure that your first child, you came here to sacrifice everything? A lot of my clients left everything in. They'll tell me, oh, I'm very, very comfortable in Nigeria. But the reason why I came here is for my family. Is my wife wanted us to come. My kids, I look at them and I look at security and I'm like, I want to give them a better future. Well, if you want to give them a better future, they probably will be buying houses here. But look at the prices of houses. From even, I don't know, when you guys came 5 years ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, look at it for now. Now think about it 10 years. Multiply it by the number of years that your kids will buy houses. Look at how much inflation, how much money they have to put out, how much they have to own. And then you think about this things and you say, is my salary really enough to carry me? Is that what I'm making now? Is it enough? Is that why I came to Canada? It's getting me by fine. But what are the other ways that I can multiply my wealth? And even if you're making a lot of money now, if you're keeping it in the bank, you're losing a lot to inflation. Inflation now is over 7%. Right? So you're losing a lot of money to inflation. The other reason is retirement. We all know retirement. Retirement is a beast. Us nowadays, we don't like thinking about it. When I see people of 50 years before, I was like, oh, this person is really, really old. Now, no, they're not, because, even though I'm still young, I am starting to think about retirement and what it looks like. And retirement doesn't have to be 65 anymore. It could be 40 years old. It could be 50-year-old. Retiring to something that you love, okay? Now, the way to start is, what is the monthly cost of your life when you're trying to retire? For example, if I am retiring in the next 20 years and I calculate with inflation, my lifestyle right now, which is, and I can promise you, is minimal, my lifestyle right now, and I'm looking at myself to afford the same lifestyle 20 years or 10 years from now, how much will I need to be able to retire successfully? How much will I need for my children to be comfortable, for me to be able to send them to schools, for me to be able to do weddings and all of those things? What exactly do I need? So when you calculate that, then that helps you inform you to say, how much properties do I need to buy? Or at least how much investment do I need? And what kind of investment do I need? So if somebody is giving me 1% interest on my investments or returns on my investment, I'm gonna say, no, thank you. Why? Deborah has 4 kids. Deborah have a minimal but good lifestyle right now. So the 1% is not gonna take me anywhere. If an employer is offering me 50,000, 100,000, well, thank you. I'm gonna start there, but I know I can't stop here because I need, where I'm going is much higher. And this is just the bare minimum. So that's why we have to start thinking. And then when I'm thinking about this is to, how many properties? I always ask myself, how many properties is enough? How many properties is actually enough to sustain me to where I want to be? How many properties should be my goal? It's how many properties depending on your lifestyle and where you want to go. So it's very, very important to, review your net worth and review where you're going in the future. And always remember inflation, right? Inflation is a beast. So this is a website that I use for people to calculate what their retirement is going to be depending on how many years and all of that. So you guys can take a screenshot and just go do that later on. Okay, we're gonna continue. I want to get to the meat of the story. When I calculated this, I think this was probably like 4 years ago. It was $9 million. $9 million is nothing now. Like $9 million is not, because a house in the GTA on average is about $1.2 million right now. So $9 million in the next 10 years is nothing right now. So that is, inflation has, just ridiculed the amount of money we have. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but a lot of companies, a lot of businesses, my business owners, a lot of them buy real estate. They buy the commercial property because that appreciates over time. That is a passive investment. And all those companies like McDonald's and all of that, yeah, they make, I don't know how much they make on each burger they make, but they're not making as much money. Where they make a lot of money is they buy those properties, they sell it to you as franchise, and you are going to also be paying down their mortgage, right? So which means if they buy a house of $500,000, in 5 years to 10 years, that house would have doubled. In GTA, houses doubled in like, some of our houses are doubling in 3 years, but let's just say 5 years, just to be conservative. I like to be super conservative, guys. So let's just say in 5 years, their house doubled. You are paying down the rent. So you are the one paying their bills, all their mortgages, all their bills, you're the one paying it. And they just have the house free. Plus, it has doubled in price. So the various ways to make money in real estate is principal recapture, which means I'm paying down, I have a loan of 500,000. By 30 years, I pay it to zero. So if I rent the house, I rent the house, I'm paying my landlord is paying. So I'm just making my landlord richer. But if I am paying my own, if I have business, so if you have business, start thinking of how do you buy properties, commercial properties with your business. It's not about how much you're making in the business, it's because this is passive thing. And instead of paying my tenants, my landlord, why don't I pay myself? So all this complaint, they're not flipping, they're not just flipping bloggers. 90% of all millionaires need their money through real estate. Okay, so I'm gonna just skip through this one. I already spoke about you're making your landlord rich, tenants and stuff like that. Tenants are a landlord is, I forgot the statistics, but it's probably like a lot more richer than their owners, their tenants. And tenants will never get there because real estate gives you that quantum leap. It gives you just different ways of making it. Now, let's go into how to raise down payments. A lot of people say, hey, Deborah, how do I start? My job is minimal. How do I do this? Now, the different ways of raising money. So when you're buying real estate, you need 3 things. You need down payments, you need your credits, and you need a job, okay, in Canada. So the way it works is your credits, 650 points and above is considered a good credit. Now with that credits, they would, the better your credits is, the higher your credits is, the better the interest rates you're gonna get from the bank. So you probably be able to get a better interest rates from the bank. That's how that works. Your job, usually before COVID, before all of this craziness started, they were multiplying your job multiplied by 5. So if you were earning $100,000, they multiply that by 5. That's an average of how much they think you can afford based on the calendar calculations and guidelines and all of that. You can only afford 5 times of your income. So your budget for a house shouldn't be more than 500 to 550. But now it's about, stresses have gone up to almost 7%. The stress test has gone up to about 7%, which means now your affordability is probably about 3.5 to 4 times of your income. So that's how your job piece factor in. So the better the job you have, the higher your income, the better house you can buy. And your down payment, you need 5% down payment. So your 5% down payment of 500,000. So if you're buying a house, it's on a sliding scale. So 5% of the first 500,000 and 10% of anything between 500,000 to $1 million. That's kind of how it works. So that's the minimum you can put down. If you are a second-time buyer, you need to put 20% down. If you're an investor, you need to put 8% down. But I wanted to talk more about how do we raise down payments. You can raise down payments through your savings. So a lot of people have money saved somewhere, from Nigeria, from their checking accounts, whatever it is. That's how you raise the down payments. RRSP, if you have some money and you're a first-time buyer, you can borrow some of the money. I think Mr. Stanton knows about this. You can borrow some of the money and use it to buy your first house. Yeah, let's say your tax-free savings account, you can also put money there. Whatever accrues over there, it's interest-free. So you can use the accumulation of your profits plus the money you deposited there to show as a down payment. Investment holders, different investments that you guys can have, proceeds from sales, properties, all of those things from Nigeria or from here, you can use it as well. The thing is, the reason why I put this is there's a lot of criteria from the bank as to how they want you to show your down payments. They don't want cash, right? This is a cashless system. So they want to make sure that the money you're bringing in is money that is genuine, right? It's not money that they can't trace. So that's why I put the slide there. So gifts also, if you have gifts, technically you're supposed to borrow gifts from your parents, like immediate family. You can't borrow money from your cousins and stuff. It has to be brother, sister, and all of that. And then your dad and mom back. And that one is very, very common now, especially among the millennials, because most of them are now able, especially in the GC, again, they're not able to save up to what they need for down payment. So dad and mom's bank, which is going to be you guys, when you buy a house, you might need to put some money aside for your children. Just think about it. How cool will it be for you to be able to give your child a gift of a down payment, or for you to help them secure a house, their wedding presents, instead of buying them, a car, a depreciable item? You can buy them, plus you can buy this one, right? And that's why that is important. Now, let's talk about how to start. How do I start buying one property at a time? So now, there are different methods of buying real estate. The favorite, most reliable, stress-free way is buy and hold. We call it buy and hold. Buy and hold simply means that you're buying a property for a period of time. You don't intend to flip it. You don't intend to sell it. In most cases, people will buy their first primary residence, the house they're gonna live in. They buy it. I know people that have stayed here for so long. They buy it for, let's say, 10 years and you just stay there. I wouldn't suggest that, okay? Deborah wouldn't suggest that, but I'm just saying at least 5 years. 5 years is a good time to hold and just be there, especially for doctors, lawyers, people that are very busy. They don't have time to flip properties. They just buy, they hold it for a particular period of time. Why? Because houses will generally just appreciate, because the cost of living is going up. Cost of construction is going up. Before in Canada, construction per square feet is probably about like $100 or something when we started buying houses. Now it's over $300,000. Over $300 per square feet. So, which means if I want 1,800 square feet, it will cost me as a builder about $300 per square feet to build a house. So it means that the houses that are already built will cost less. So if I'm selling, I'm mostly as a real estate agent, we're comparing new and old. Yes, it's not exactly the same thing, but you will rub off the brand new ones. So when you own a house for an extended period of time, I can give lots of examples, but people that bought a house again 5-10 years ago, the house I sold a house for one of my clients in 2000 and I'm trying to remember. I think it was 2016. No, 2019, 2019. She bought it 10 years before for $250,000. I sold it for her in 2018 for $1.3 million. That's kind of what we enjoy in the GT anyways. I can't talk about other markets. Okay, guys, I can only talk about GT markets, but that's kind of why buy and holding is good. Okay, so that's what it is. Now, when you're buying properties, you can buy turnkey properties. What I mean by turnkey is you're buying a property that is already, ready to go. All the cosmetics are good, it's livable, everything is working. You don't need to renovate. It's just turnkey. You buy it, you turn the key, you enter, you get a tenant, and that's it. And if you're leaving the house, the same thing. You buy it, you go in. As an investor, I love the rehab part of this. Listen, you see my nails? I cannot swing an hammer. I cannot do anything, but I do buy rehab properties. I find construction workers, and they help me to fix the houses. I have people that work for us now. They help us to fix those houses at a really reasonable cost. So we've been able to keep our costs low, and then we can decide to hold the house. We can also decide to flip it too. But when you're buying an holding property, you can do turnkey, which you have no need for work. Those houses are slightly more expensive, but time is running too. Remember, somebody has put time into it. They're selling this for you. You don't need to do anything. You're still earning, especially for high income earners. You're still able to earn money from your primary work, right? And then you're benefiting from this stress-free, right? People don't like tenants, they don't like toilets and stuff. So maybe just start from the beginning and then gradually work yourself well into rehab. But if you're Andy, or like me, if you're Andy, you may not be afraid of rehab properties. And rehab property has categories. I don't buy houses that have foundational issues, for example. I don't buy houses that have too much electricity that I have to rewire everything. All of those things I don't do. It takes too much time. It's not good for my, it's not worth my time. And I don't have experience in it. I don't want to do it at all. I prefer to buy a land and just build it from ground up rather than fixing and fixing and fixing. Because sometimes you get trapped in all of those things. So that's what it is, buy and hold. The other way is pre-construction. Let me know in the chat if you have pre-construction that is closing. If you bought your house through pre-construction, if you are thinking of buying pre-construction, put it in the chat. I want to know how many people here knows about pre-construction properties. Because this is a popular strategy. People buy pre-construction properties a lot just for them to get by, right? And I think it's a neat strategy as well. So put it in the chat. I'm not going to move on unless, again, I see 5 comments that is telling me about whether or not, if you haven't heard about pre-construction, put it in the chat as well. Okay, yeah, mine was probably, okay, someone's reconstruction. Okay, that's good. I just want to know how many people has heard about reconstruction. So again, I only have 1 comment. Everybody's gonna take a break, drink some water.
Hi all, just to make sure that we're following, please let's just, respond in the chat. I think that to fire Deborah up. I know she likes interaction, so please, I'm imploring everyone to just please respond in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I love when people are responding because it just helps me to gauge the audience as well and just make sure people are not falling asleep. Am I too boring? I want to know. Okay, so somebody said they heard about it. I was looking into it before market started cooling off. I am looking to build in the next 2 years. Okay, look into it for a while ago. Build. Okay, I built it for 1, but before it wasn't. Okay, awesome. So a lot of people have heard about reconstruction, not quite familiar with reconstruction. Okay, so for the people that are not familiar, I am gonna just talk briefly about reconstruction. Reconstruction is, I think it happens in Nigeria too. But reconstruction is basically you buy a house. You buy a house from the builder. So the builder are the ones that develop the land. So they buy the land. There's a lot of process, but basically you're buying the house from the builder. And when you buy the house from the builder, you agree at a particular price. It could be, let's say you're agreeing at $1 million. I'm trying to use numbers that are relevant to us here. So it could be $1 million. You agree at $1 million. And they now say you're also going to agree on how much deposits you're going to put on the house. So it could be, let's say you're putting $50,000, $100,000, and you're going to pay in this sequence over this period of time. So they could say $30,000 for the next 6 months, $1,000. And they will tell you when the house is going to be completed. They are going to agree on this is how the house is going to look. This is the square footage. All of those things are what they say about what they will sell to you. So basically, they are selling you a piece of paper. And they will tell you when that will be delivered. You pay your deposit, and now you own the house. The advantages of reconstruction is in a very low market. Reconstruction seems to work very well because you buy it at a very good price, and when the market booms back, when everything is working well, you would most likely sell it for higher. So, for example, you could buy it for $1 million and you sell it for $1.2 million in 2 years. So, you make $200,000 paying for it. So, I've seen a lot of people actually do see people from the last 1 to 2 years, people made an average of $200,000, $300,000. That was very common. In fact, I see one of my clients made $400,000 just holding on deposit. Doesn't have to qualify for mortgage, doesn't have to do anything, just holding on to that property, holding on to that piece of paper. Sorry, they don't even have that. And they have something called assignments at closing instead of you to go get a mortgage on it. Most you guys know that you don't buy a house for cash, right, in Canada. Because I don't know my audience very well, so I'm just trying to make sure that I say this thing. So you're instead of you to get a loan for the house for the balance of your deposit, you go and get a loan, and instead of you getting that loan, sorry, you go and just sell it. So I bought it. I can decide to say, hey, Samson, I bought this house for $1 million. It's now worth $1.2 million. Here, buy it. And Samson is ready and it's gonna buy it, and that's it. Full cash, $200,000, and my plus my deposit. So that's reconstruction. Now the advantages of this reconstruction is customization and original owner benefits. So you get to choose all the styles of the home. Your deposit is due over a period of time. So for people that are struggling with just down payments, you can be dropping $5,000 from from your monthly salary, right? You can be saving that, and that's compulsory savings for you. Now that becomes a target, you start to save it, and you start to give it to the builder, right? So instead of taking the money to buy, I don't know what this Gucci bag, whatever it is, or leave it on. I don't know when windows travel. You have now a target, your cost, you have a contract you have to do it. There's also more time to save for down payments, which we all know now. But the disadvantage is this house is not built yet, it's not tangible. Let me tell you what the problem is now in the markets. In the markets now, I tell reconstruction is a good strategy, but the disadvantages are in a downward market. When the market seems to be cooling off like this, a lot of houses in the GTA are coming under appraised, which means if you bought the house for $1 million, because the bank and the economy, everybody is scared, they are appraising the house at 900,000. Sometimes they appraise it at 800,000. But if I bought a house, if I went to the market then and I bought a house of $1 million, well, I bought this house of $1 million. I got my mortgage, I got everything. My tenants is there, everything is working. My tenants keep paying me. During COVID, my tenants never stopped paying me, right? So during this downtown market, so my tenants are even scared that, maybe the rent is gonna increase the rent, maybe it's gonna ask them to move. So they are paying me. But if you have a pre-construction, it's not something that is yours. It still belongs to the builder. You just have an agreement that you're gonna buy it off them at that particular time to deposit. So the risk is if all of this thing happen, whatever fluctuation happens in the market affects the people that owns pre-construction, the piece of paper. So if there's prosperity in the market, you get to enjoy your 300,000. If it's the otherwise, you get to lose your 300,000. So that's the disadvantage of pre-construction. So higher interest rates, mortgage rules, whatever affects you. Sometimes higher deposits as well. In the GTS, before everything was cooling off, it was, thank God though that it cooled off. Thank God. But it was there was some of the bidders were asking for $300,000, $400,000. And what happens is now people cannot walk away from that $300,000 to $400,000, even though the house may come $200,000 less appraised. If you don't close the house, I heard of a story where someone was telling me bought the house for, I think bought the house for about $1.1 million. And the house was appraised for $900,000. He went to the builder and said, hey, listen, guy, this is what happened. Builders said, well, this is none of my problem. Builders are very, very brutal. You know, they are people that, because they have the lawyers, they have good accountants, they have everything. So you can't really do anything. So they took the house from the guy, they sold it for the 900,000, and then they put the balance of their money that they agreed, they put it as a lien against the property that he owns, his primary residence. So that's what builders can do. So I always say, guys, be careful. Number one, make sure that sometimes if it's too far out, you just don't know, because the market happens, you know, in circles, right? Like anything can happen. Don't buy 10 pre-constructions. I know a guy that told me, oh, Deborah, I bought 10 pre-constructions. I'll tell my client, don't do that. If you have the money, just go buy the house. At least now you have a guarantee, right? Your interest rate is secured, everything is secured. If the market bounce back, that's, you know, that it will do your benefit. But if in this market, you know, something like this, it might be detrimental. So also there are HSC just that you have to pay on construction, because it's brand new. You only pay HSC GST on a house once. I know about this. Oh, you guys don't pay land transfer taxes, but you still pay HSC GST. Yes, that's right. Greater, yes, this is Greater Toronto area, yes. Data are not set in stone, so sometimes they might tell you they're going to finish building by March of next year, but actually they may not finish it until the next 2 years. Because the worst period, some of them take 6 months additional, because all the different things, supply issues and all of those things affect them too. So they have even clauses in the contract that says that, hey, we know that this is what we told you, but you see those fine lines, it says that we are able to move it for another 3-5 years, okay? And those fine lines also tell them that, okay, supply chain has gone up, so the prices has gone up. So instead of us, we sold it to you for $450, but we could put $50,000 on top, because this I want to make profits. And if you don't want, please, I'll give you your money back, you walk away. By that time, you've invested for 2 years, you don't have a choice, you have to do it. So making sure that you go to reputable builders and make sure that you read all the fine print and just, you know, use real estate agents, right? Because we're trained in knowing and sniffing out some of these potential problems and things that may happen. So that's the disadvantage of pre-construction, but it's a wonderful tool, right? Just depends on how you want to use it. Flipping properties. That's another way of buying properties. So I talk about buy and hold. I could buy an old property, and in 6 months I see that, oh my goodness, my house is doing fantastic, properties has gone up. I now start to post myself and say, hey, babe, how much can we save from my monthly salary every month? Okay, you can save 5,000, so I can save 5,000. I go and look for a builder that can be taking $30,000 from us for the next 6 months. Okay, let's start reducing all our date nights. Let's start reducing all our travels so that we can be putting $10,000 towards the pre-construction for the next 6 months. And now we have a second house, okay? Now the third house, I can say, hey, let's start to look into flipping properties. Okay, how do we do this? Well, a house has you remember the one we bought 6 months ago? Okay, it has appreciated about $100,000. This happens to the GTA. Okay, let's go to the bank. Let's see if we can refinance, bring the money out, and get the $100,000. Oh, Samson, you too, you have $100,000 on your house. Okay, why don't we partner up? Let's start flipping properties. Now we have $200,000. Okay, let's buy the house in all of our names, and we both go there, buy a house, we fix it, we buy it, let's say we put $150,000 down, we put $50,000 into actual flipping on the house, we flip it, we make $50,000 or $100,000. Now we have a business. Now we can start doing it once a year. Before we are doing 2 a year, 3 a year. So that's the third strategy. So I'm telling you guys how to buy properties one house at a time. And these are the ways that you can scale very, very quickly. Because one thing that I have learned when I came to this country, houses, my parents bought their first house for $100,000. $100,000 was what they paid for. And at that time, in fact, it was too late. Why? Because at that time, at the time we first of all entered, you know, people will be telling you, oh, your SIM card is your treasure, certificate, don't bring your SIM card out, you need to save it. So what do we do to take our SIM card, put it at the back of our cup? In fact, have a dig there, put your SIM card. We didn't allow anybody to present, or they presented, but we didn't understand it. We didn't take it because everybody said, don't give your SIM card. So I remember somebody came and asked us and said, hey, at that time, you don't need any down payments. It was 0% down. All you need is your SIM card and the fact that they know that you're working. At that time, right now, I said it's 3.5% of 4 times of your income is what you can afford. At that time, it was something ridiculous like 10%. I don't even think there was anything like how much you can afford. You just have a job, you like this house. Are you sure you like it? Okay. The bank say, okay, here, you have a job, you can afford it. Okay, here, take the house. And you can buy 10 houses, 20 houses. I have investors that have $200. I have investors that have $300. How did they do it? They started like 25 years, 30 years ago. They use the power of that time to start, because at that time, now as an investor now, I need 20% down for every investment property that I need to buy. At that time, it was only 5%. So imagine that. I would just be saying, babe, don't worry about this night. Just let us be saving for this thing. That's what I would have done. But at that time, we didn't understand it, because everybody said, you have your money, you keep it under your armpits. Don't let anybody see your SIM card, because they will they will deport you back to Nigeria. Something like that, stupid things like that. I met a taxi driver the other day. He said he got to Canada 1987. And he said, and that man is still driving taxi from 1987. He's a Ghanaian man. He said at that time, everybody was doing taxis. They were all doing taxi, and they make money. They work for 6 months to 8 months. They go back to Ghana. I'm sorry if you got Ghanaian, and I don't mean to press buttons or anything. I'm just using an example, and I want to use an example that people can relate, because sometimes we think we have time. I mean, I thought I had time, right? And that man is still driving taxi. He said, we'll work for 8 months. We'll go back home. We'll take all our cash. We don't want to buy anything. I said I came like over 15 years ago when it was 0% down. I don't know the opportunities that that man would have had at that time. Yes, interest rate was high as of those times. But the people that bought their house for $6,000, $10,000, those houses now, they're worth $2 million in Toronto. Okay, but if you don't take the pain to buy right now, then forget it. You might as well go back to Nigeria, because those people in Nigeria, it might be better for them 20 years than you are here and you're not investing in anything. That is the reality. So that man is still driving taxi. He doesn't own a house till today. When I saw that was last year when I was talking to him, he still doesn't have any house. Okay. I think I have some questions coming in. Let me just finish this slide. So the other thing is flipping basics. So when you're flipping properties means you buy high. Sorry, it's supposed to be the inverse. You sell, you buy low, you sell high. That's what I wanted to say. So you sell low, you buy low, you sell high. So for example, I did some nice contracts last year, but the market was doing well. Now all of these things has to do with seasons too. Remember, as a very strategic thinker, very experienced investor, you know when it's a good time for you to flip properties. Right now may not be the best time, because things hasn't settled yet, right? But when things were hot, we flipped a lot of properties last year. Some of them we made 50,000, some of them we made 100,000, some of them we made $200,000 within 3 months. And those money you can save it and now say, okay, for every 2 or 3 properties I flip, I'm going to buy one and hold for the long run, right? Flipping to me is, yeah, you're making all this money, but remember, as they make money in Canada, you have to pay taxes. So the more money you make, the more taxes you pay. So you have to be strategic about all this. At least I want you to be strategic about all of the things you do. Don't just make money for the money. You have to make money and keep the money. Otherwise, you're working for somebody else. Okay? I didn't come here to come and be buying land for Canadians and for everybody to be thriving on my money. I came here to work, have money, and keep it. And that's the point of it. So as you are buying, a good strategy will be, okay, every 3 houses that I flip, I'm going to hold one. That's the old one. So that would be a good strategy. Now, for you to flip, you need cost analysis skills, estimation skills. If you have technical skills too, if you're Andy, and if you're not like me, you can hire people to do it. It's slightly more expensive for me, because if I was a contractor, I would just buy the materials. But don't forget, I also have my full-time job, which actually pays me more, thank God, than a contractor. So sometimes if you're in the high income brackets, maybe you don't need to actually do the work. But if you are just starting, you don't have money, you don't have a good credit, all you have is your under skill. You can put walls together, you can put things together. You may partner with an investor like me and just say, hey, Deborah, if you have any house, I'm going to work there, you supply with the contract, and let's partner up and see how we can share the profits. That could be something that you can do. So there's always a way to win in real estate. You just remember, you just have to program your RAS system and say, hey, how can I do this? People, successful people who don't say, it's not possible. Or yeah, I'm panicking, there's recession, there's all of those things. No, successful people are asking, how can I do it? That's the question I want to ask. If you call me and say, Deborah, you're complaining to me, I'm going to say, sorry, I don't have the time. I am very busy. I can go and, spend time somewhere, I'll just stay with my kids. I don't want anybody wasting my time. If you ask me, Deborah, how can I do it? Then I understand that now you have an open mind. Now you have a mind, and now I can build on that. If you're complaining to me, I am sorry, I don't have the time. So how can we do it? That's the question. So again, basics, you buy a real property, you add values to it, you sell the property, and you make profits. Okay, awesome, thank you. Okay, the third way is joint venture. I'm almost done, guys. I'm almost done. I know you have questions. I just want to make sure I go through all of these things so I don't lose my thoughts. The first thing is joint venture. And I kind of talk about it that you may have one of these things that I listed here, and you may not have everything, but you say, hey, down payments, I don't have down payments, but I know this person has down payments, has credits, has a job. Hey, why don't you, Mr. Doctor, you are always working 18 hours a day. Okay, why don't I buy the house? Let's buy it in the name. I will manage everything. I'll manage the tenants, I'll manage the contractor, I'll manage it. In fact, I'll fix the house. Let's own the house. You are the owner of the money. Okay, take 60%, I take 40%. You think that's fair? Okay, let's shake hands. That's what you can do. Oh, okay, I don't have anything, but I have relationship. I know somebody they're about to foreclose their house because they couldn't pay. A lot of people now in Toronto, they can't pay because some people, not everybody listens to Deborah, or not everybody I have opportunity to talk to. And that's why when I see people like this, I jump at the opportunity. This is my way of giving back. I'm not charging for this, but I just want people to understand. Not my brother do, I won't do. Not everything I do will work for you. And there has to be a strategy. There's a method to the madness, right? It's not everything that I do that you have to do.
Mommy has gone, right?
Thank you. So, but if you have a strategy on this is how I'm going to do it, then there's always a way to win. So there's always a way to manage. I can say, hey, I have relationship. I know somebody that's is about to foreclose because maybe they bought the house in February when the house was very hot. They thought they can refinance in 6 months because that was what has been happening the last 1.5 years. But now, guess what? They were caught red-handed. They couldn't refinance. Properties are not jumping as much. Now they are foreclosing their house. Husband and wife are not talking to each other. Everybody's facing this person is facing this. What do we do? Well, okay, let's sell the house. Now you know that person. And you come and say, hey, Deborah, this person wants to sell their house. Okay, they're selling it for cheap. Okay, I calculate for my numbers, it makes sense. Okay, I'll pay you $5,000 for referring me. That is how you make your side business. So again, and I am saying, I am a community person. I have my kids, I always tell them, hey, you gotta marry a Nigerian. Okay, at least one of you has to marry a Nigerian. So please, send me referrals when that time comes. Or it's a house that we use as bad price or whatever it is. I have 3 girls. But I'm saying that sometimes this relationship can be formed and this relationship can give you money. And when you're joint venturing with someone, it doesn't necessarily has to be all of these things. It's whatever it is that works and whatever it is that we can come together to do. All of the other communities, remember I said I live in Brampton. A lot of people don't like Brampton, but the reason why I love it is because I am just intrigued about the community spirit that these people have, the passion they have. They fight a lot, they do a lot of nasty things among them. But let me tell you, you cannot come in between them. I worked in a brokerage with them. It was 450 agents. I was the only Black. I was the only Nigerian. These people will speak their language. It was like I never existed. So at that point, you start to think, I wish somebody is like me, so I can just see somebody that looks like me. So this is why this community, I'm preaching that, hey, we can do things together. You can help yourself. You didn't come here to be, I don't know, washing pool doing factory job, doing all of these things. There are ways that you can monetize the things that you learned today. Okay. So when you're buying a house, what are you looking for? You look at your budgets. If somebody comes to me and say, "Hey, Deborah, I have only $500,000 and you want to buy a house in Brampton," well, even though you can't buy a den, $500,000, then condo you can Brampton no. So when you have a $500,000 budget, where can you buy a house? That's what you're looking at. Where can I buy a house? You're looking at location. Is it close to transit? Is it center of the city? My daughter was asking me today. So why does a lot of businesses, why are a lot of businesses in Mississauga, we don't have a lot in Brampton? I said, because Mississauga is more central, right? So if I have a house in Mississauga, at that point, 15 years ago when they were asking me for my SIM card, and me and my dad was putting it under our armpits, we could have bought a house in Mississauga for maybe, I don't know, 50,000, 100,000, 200,000 at most. In fact, when we wanted to buy our first house, I really said years at that time, bought a house for 490. No, yeah, 491. I really said years at that time, said, "Hey, listen, you can buy a house." We bought a townhouse in Brampton for 491, and our agent said, "Hey, I have a house on that contract. I have a client's house that I'm going to sell. It's double car garage. It's $600,000. You know what the Nigerian may do?" I'm like, we cannot afford it, so please just keep it. Just let us buy this one there, and let me just cut my quote according to my size. It wasn't necessarily because we couldn't squeeze a little bit tighter. I'm not saying go from a 500,000 budget to a $1 million budget, but the $600,000, the difference wasn't a lot. Interest rate at the time was only maybe 2.7%. It wasn't a lot, but Nigeria really wouldn't let me do it. Now, fast forward, when we sold our house we bought it for 491, we sold it, I think, 807. The people that bought for 600,000, ask me how much they were selling this for. Guess in the comments how much those people they made. They made a lot of money, ton of money. Yes. It was $1.2 million. Yes, you're right. You're in the spirit, my brother. You're in the spirit. $1.2 million. I could have squeezed myself a little bit tighter. So I'm talking about location. If you buy your house in Toronto, don't compare it to Calgary. Please, you Calgarians, don't even be talking. We are talking about real estate investments. Yes, your house appreciates, but I've studied your house in your markets to know that Toronto will always be Toronto. Come rain, come sunshine. Okay, so location is very important. Accessibility to transit is very important because when I buy a house in a very deeply residential community where there's no transit, where there's nothing, it will be very hard for me to get tenants. Okay, surrounding amenities, again, when you buy your house close to schools, colleges, all of those things, a lot of tenants they ride the bus, so you have to consider that. Surrounding view, Canadians, they love their water, they love everything. So all of those things are things that you want to definitely put in perspective when you're thinking about it. Research about the developer. Make sure that you research about the developer, because some of them, in fact, one person that I have tons of story. This person, the developer charged him. He said, "You have to add $150,000 to the cost of the house, or I will return your down payment to you and I'll give you just $50,000. That is when this person has invested for at least 3 years. When everybody was making 300,000, when I could sell the house that I made, that I bought 3 years, at the same time he bought, I could have sold mine for 300,000, pocket money, my money, go to Nigeria, go flash money, do whatever it is. I don't go to Nigeria anymore. I haven't been in Nigeria in 10 years, but I'm just saying all of these things. Don't mind me. But I'm just saying, when I could have enjoyed my money, he invested his own money into pre-construction, and it was the exact deposit that I dropped that he also has to drop, and he was buying his pre-construction. But guess what? Now the builder is saying, "We'll give you $50,000. You just go manage up, or you add $150,000 with the price that we already set, and then we have a deal." The guy said no. The guy now took him to court. He said, "I see your $50,000. So this $50,000 I have promised you. I know they do again. I'm not giving you any money. I'll just give you your deposit back, chicken, and that's it." The guy said, "Hey, I should, Deborah, if I had known, I should have come and talked to you and just take my $2,000. Mind you, these people are not my clients. I give you all these examples because sometimes people see you, as a community, right? We do all these things. They see you, they don't talk to you. By the time they get into problem, they see the Deborahomes can help them. They now come back and talk to me. And I say, well, sorry, I can't help you. Truly, I can't. But at least if you told me before, I would have told you that just go take that $50,000 because builders can do that. Okay? Okay. Let's rush through. Okay. I just wanted to conclude with fear is a lot of things that push us back. But fear has two meanings: forget everything and run, or face everything and rise. You can either say, hey, it's difficult. People asking me, why are you able to have pockets? And I say, hey, they throw you in the middle of the ocean, you can either sink or decide to swim right there and there. Some people, that's how they swim. They throw them in water and they just like, I can't die, and they just swim out. And that's what the thing is. Sometimes you don't have to have all the pieces of the puzzles together, but just start from somewhere. Pick one strategy that I discussed and do it, okay? And now I will try to take your questions. I'll try to take your questions.
Sorry, Deborah, I think you skipped 2 slides. I don't know, because we don't want to miss anything. Personally, I'm really learning a lot. And I don't know if you want to spend like 1 or 2 minutes on those slides just quickly. I don't know if we
no, it's not
okay, it's not something. Okay, well, just testimonial. Okay,
yeah, it was just testimonial. I wanted to talk about a story, but I've given you guys a lot of story, a lot of things to relate with, a lot of things to go think about. Go back to your wives, go back to your husband and say, hey babe, I heard this from Deborahomes. This is how people are doing it, and how can we strategize? You can contact me on my Instagram, contact me on Facebook, and just book a consultation appointment with me and see how we can work together, how I can help you. I have 15 minutes free consultation, but again, guys, I'm giving that 15 minutes, but please don't come and waste my time. Come to me with cogent questions, with strategy questions. Think about it thoroughly, because I'm not going to exceed that 15 minutes. And that's it. So I want to make sure that I go through the questions. If you can help me to just ask some of the questions, I'll go through them really quickly.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Deborah. This is quite insightful. And
you're welcome.
Thank you for I know you're a very busy person, and to get you on a Sunday evening, it's not easy. It's not easy, but
because I canceled before, right? The other time we couldn't make it up. I'm like, whatever this guy said this time, we have to.
Yeah, and let me share. I know Deborah personally. She's a friend of my wife. She's a wife to a friend of mine, and I would say I missed out too. Because in 2018, when I came to Canada, she was telling me about this. I was doing stubborn head. I was too scared. And she was telling me about the opportunities. I did not listen. 3 years down the line, I regretted not listening to her, because there were opportunities. I would have started owning properties in Toronto. And she told me about it, because I met her husband. I went to they have a big home in Brampton. They are called, I went there for a wedding, and they were so hospitable and nice to me and my other friend. We stayed in their home for like 2 or 3 days. And she was telling me about opportunities. When she was telling me how much she was selling that one of the houses that she was trying to flip, everything, as somebody that just came to Canada, well, me, I'm just trying to settle down here. I don't know these things. So, I was scared. 3 years down the line, I start to think about how I could have taken some opportunities in, owning, not even owning, say, even flipping and making money right away. So thank you so much. Olufella, do you have, like anything before we go into the questions? I know it's already 6 p.m. and, but I know people have a lot of questions. So we keep the questions within 20 minutes, 25 minutes. And then she's so generous. She says she can book 15-minute sessions with you, with anybody, but please go with serious strategic, questions and plans, so that, it can be a mutual meeting for both parties. Hello, fella, do you have a...
No.
Okay,
you can just start with the questions.
Okay, cool. So we can go into questions. There are questions in the chat. And I noticed some questions are for mortgage advisor. For example, there was a question on refinancing. I don't know if you want to respond to that, Deborah.
Okay. I'm just going to start from the ones I can see. Talking about scaling, how soon can you refinance if you have a down payment of more than 20% on your cost of? Yes, you can refinance as soon as there's enough value on your home. So the way refinancing works is once a house appreciates, so let's say you bought it for $500,000, bought it for $500,000, now it's worth, let's say, $800,000. At that point, you can refinance. So the formula for refinancing is your new value minus the new value minus 80% minus the deposits. Sorry, minus your mortgage balance. So you bought the house for $800,000, but you had put $100,000 on the house when you bought it. So it means that now it's $800,000 minus 20%. How much is that? We can do a quick math. That's
600. Oh, sorry.
No, that's not 600. 640, right? That's 640. But your mortgage balance is 400,000. So it's now 640 minus $400,000. That balance is what you can take out as your money. But remember, whenever you're refinanced, my brothers and sisters, don't go and use the money to buy gold. Don't go and use it to. You can chop life small. I chop life a little bit, but don't go and use it to buy something because this money is a loan. You are increasing your loan. You are the most important. One of the important thing about real estate is the power to leverage. You can also always use your house as a collateral, leverage on it at a very low interest rate, and go use it to make more money. And if you are scared of debt, real estate is not for you. You should even talk enough. I will even not say it's not for you. I will tell you where you can hear that, my brother, don't miss out, right? So when you are getting this money, remember it's a loan, so make sure you do that. So that's how you know. So once you know that's your house, do this simple maths. And once you know that, hey, this is my numbers and you plug it in, go refinance. Again, I don't refinance until I have tangible money to do something. So if it's $40,000, there's nothing for me to use $40,000 to do. So, but if it's $100,000, $200,000, I can use it to make more money. I'll wait for that time and pull it out at that time. Okay.
Sorry, just to add to that, 40,000 may be enough to put. Sorry, Deborah, 40,000 in Abara may be enough to put down a down payment. You know, I know you're always talking about GTA. You guys have a lot of money there, but you know, Abata here, 40K could, you know, you could buy another second home with that, right? This is Abara. So I just, when you're talking, also help us look at Abara.
Okay,
I know you guys have big money over there.
But just remember that when you're buying a second home, it's always 20%, even in Alberta. Yeah. So if you're buying a $400,000 home, that means you need $80,000 plus closing costs, let's say $5,000 to $10,000. So you need $90,000 to make it work. So those are things that you're considering. So if your money is not enough, you know that your wife will drag you to a party and she will buy a share. Don't tell her that the money has appreciated. Wait until there's enough money before you pull it out. Okay. How soon is it advisable to refinance, to take advantage of equity paid? What are the pros and cons of refinance? Again, I already explained that. The pros and cons, your monthly payment goes up, right? So that's why I'm saying make sure that the money is worth it. And even though my monthly payment has gone up, but I've made $50,000 from what I use the money for. So this $50,000 can pay for the additional money that it went up and still give me leftover, right? That's when I'll do. That's when it makes sense to me as an investor. Okay. So does that mean houses in America doesn't appreciate? Well, your houses has appreciated in the last, I think, 2 years or so. But the way, if you check the history, Alberta market is kind of up and down. It goes up, and then it might be flat again for the next 7 years. Just how the Alberta market is. So for me, it's not advisable. I always use the example. My parents live in Lawrence, so I don't know Lagos very well. Some of my clients have told me about Lekki and phase 1, phase 2, and all of those things. But I really don't know. But my parents live in Lawrence, and they tell me that, Deborah, if I had lived in Lagos, I would have made a lot more money than when I spent my time living in Kwara State in Lawrence. So I always say that I'd rather sometimes, like some of my clients have invested in the GTA market just because they appreciate very, very fast. They keep their permanent residence in Alberta, but because of the way their market is, they invest over here because Toronto will always be Toronto. So that's just what I believe, and that's the way I see it. Market is all is about stabilizing due to market is about stabilizing due to COVID. I don't understand that. I guess that's a comment.
Deborah, just so you know, every comment on the chat, they are not like questions. So we might just, if you don't mind, you can go to the last one and we
Okay.
can come through, and if we find more questions in the chat, we'll bring that up. Thank you.
Okay, sounds good. You can buy other properties by using current properties as collateral and even pay 0 instead of 30%. Can you speak this more? So bank can do that, but it's kind of a refinancing. It's just instead of putting the money into your accounts, they are not putting it into your account, they are using it for something else. So they will still use the figures that I told you how to refinance the property. Make sure that the funds that you have is enough to cover the houses that you're going to buy, right? So you need 20% for the next house. So that's kind of how it works. And if you repeat this process enough, some people buy house every year. They save this year, they use their refinance next year, and then save, and then they just keep that process. So it's almost the same thing. Training material.
There are two questions there that I would just add. One is, what strategy would you advise in this current market? Buy and hold or flip? And the other question is, do you assist people living in Alberta that want to invest in Toronto? Do you provide service to them?
Yeah, I have few clients that are from Alberta, actually from different parts of the world. I have people from the US, I have from Nigeria. So I have a property management company that helps to manage those properties, and I also help them to buy those properties with my knowledge, and I do the quarterly reports and stuff like that. So yes, the strategies that you can use in this markets, I want guys to be really, really careful, because especially in the GTA, again, I can't speak of your markets because I don't know it that well, but especially in the GTA market, even though our market has fallen by 20%, the builders are still selling at that same price of February, March, April. So people have to be careful. When you're not using agents, sometimes it's not because of me. I don't care sometimes if you're using or not. But I just want to give this information because that's what we're doing today. But prices has really gone down, but the builders are still keep it at this price. And as soon as you sign that document, they say, well, sorry, you signed the document, it's not a contract, and we're in Canada. So it's like you lose your deposits, which is a lot, or you aren't in there. So I would say pre-construction is not something that people should be running to, or at least if you're doing this, make sure that the gap is, because our market hasn't settled yet. Interest rates is still going up, right? It might still go up in September, which means as interest rates is going up, the price is falling. So if you buy the house at this price and it goes to, then you are the one losing. So I would say that if you're buying pre-construction, make sure that it's not too far. So one of my clients said, hey, Deborah, I'm interested in this one. It's closing by the end of the year. I said, why don't you wait until after the September announcement? Buy it. If it's still closed in December, the 3 months is not going to be a lot of difference, right? But there's a lot of people that cannot afford a home right now. Those are the people you should find it. My brother, you bought the house for $700,000, but you say you can't afford it. So what to sell it for 600, I will help you out. Those are the people you're helping out at this time. You're looking for opportunities, and there's a lot of opportunities in this market. The other thing that I want to talk about that I didn't have time is multi-units. When you go and buy multi-units, like I'm talking about 10 apartments, 20 apartments, 30 apartments, you can all come together and buy those units. Those ones are not really affected because of the markets, because they calculate the values based on the rental income. The more rental income is called cap rates. So the more rental income the house is generating is like a business. It's like the way they value business. The more profits you're making that you're declaring, the more you can sell the house or the property or the business. That's the same thing with multi-units. So that's something you can do right now. If you're doing flips in those markets, you gotta know your audience very well. I would not suggest that if this is your first flip, this is gonna be your first flip that you should do in this market. In the other markets, even if you lose, you will still gain, because things are everybody just wanted to buy a house. But now, this is not the time for you to do try and error. Okay, I don't like doing try and error with people's money. So that's why I'm very, very sincere. Is there another question?
Yeah. I have a question. So you mentioned something, I was going to have something different about, during your presentation, you spoke about, a joint venture. You also on the side mentioned people coming together as a community. And thank you also for mentioning the multi-unit, strategy. Now, from your experience, let me provide additional context. In Edmonton, for example, we do have strong Nigerian community. So it's few people wants to come together to do a big project. From your experience, what would you advise in how to structure that project? Let's put number, a $2 million multi-unit project. What are the things we need to watch out for, the legal part, the capital raising and all that?
So I think that one of the best things to do is to make sure that you find a lawyer that understands joint venture, because it's like, you are doing closings and properties, and this person is a family law. Everybody they kind of different. Joint venture is popular among investors, so you want to look for an investor-focused lawyer that will make sure that all the clauses that you guys cannot think about is in that contract. Like, for example, Nigerians, I'm sorry, they like to do short-term, quick money thing. 2 years, sorry, something happened, I need my money. No, you can't get some money. The contract was 5 years. And this is what the contract says. So you want to make sure that all the things that, based on experience has been problems are now in those stores. So that's where to start. Number 2 is, of course, to make sure that, again, you're buying a property that is of value. Let me tell you guys, you make money at a buy. You can write that down. If you didn't write anything down, write that down. You make money when you buy real estate. What do I mean by that? If you buy a property for cheap, you already know, even if I sell it tomorrow, I am making money. So don't buy property if you know that you're overpaying. There's no reason for you to overpay, especially in this market. So make sure you have a investor-focused realtor, an investor-focused mortgage broker, because your mortgage broker is very important to your team. They are going to make sure that you not only buy one property, they understand the vision that you guys want to buy 20 units every single year. So at the first year, they're going to structure it right. How do you structure your company? Which kind of structure do you want to put in place? Is it going to be sole proprietors? Is it going to be corporation? Do we need accountants? All of those things are pieces that you need. So making sure your team is solid and you understand the vision is what you probably want to do. So I would say interview 2, 3, 4 people, right? Make sure that your team is solid, because those people are the ones that will educate you. I educate my clients on what to do. In fact, I tell my clients what to do. They just say, Deboraah, make this decision, whatever you do is because they know that Deboraah knows it. So you're looking for someone that is very educated and knows very well about what you're trying to do. And they can, foresee things that you don't foresee. They can advise you on even how to structure, who are the people that are managing the projects, who are the people that are bringing money, what ratio makes sense for us to, give to each party. All of those things, they can help you to answer those questions.
Thank you very much. That's great. Samson, back to you.
Oh, thank you, Olufala. I think there's another question from Ola Oloye. It says, for a buy to hold for long-term rental strategy, would you still advise Toronto as best place to invest, or other places with less costly purchase prices?
Sorry, you're gonna have to repeat that. Your brother just walked in, so say that again.
Says, for a buy to hold for long-term rental strategy, would you still advise Toronto as best place to invest, or other places with less costly purchase prices?
So there are other markets it depends on your budget. Remember, that was the first thing that I said. Your budget is very important. What is your budget? If you have $500,000 budget, you cannot buy in Toronto. Let's not waste our time. Because the time that I can be using to waste time to babysit you could have bought something $50,000 cheaper, maybe in other smaller markets. But there are markets that are definitely not Toronto, but they have similar characteristics. Toronto was making 20% per year. Maybe they are making 15%, 13%. And I know that those markets are not gonna fall. You know what I mean? So based on, I don't like to say areas, but GTA, the closer it is to GTA, the better it is for you. So Brampton, for example, I had a webinar this week with CMHC, you guys might know them, and they were saying one of the forecasts is Brampton, Alton region, for example, are places that is going to appreciate very well, because there's going to be a lot of properties and needs for properties and stuff like that, right? So those are information that you guys are looking for. Again, program your RAS system. But depending on your budgets, maybe you can afford to Misaga. Brampton is probably like $50,000 to $100,000 cheaper than Misaga. Maybe you want to come to Brampton, right? So it depends on your budgets. Hamilton is also doing well in those GTA markets, but depending on your budget, then we can kind of figure it out from there.
So do we have any other questions? And guys, feel free to raise your hand, use the raise your hand icon, and you can ask your questions directly. Please, if I see any hand up, I'll call.
Yeah. I will probably just take one or two more so we can wrap it up. And if you want, if you want to speak, you can speak. Yeah,
we got Tomiwa. Tomiwa, please go ahead.
Hi, thank you. Sorry, I'm driving here. So I just had a quick question. I joined a little late, but I heard her talking about, I don't know, something about like buying for kids or something. So my question is, if I wanted to, would you say buy houses now as like to say, okay, I have 3 kids, I'm gonna buy 3 houses with the intention of giving it to my kids in the future? Or would you say give them a down payment when they need it? So which one do you think is more better money wise? Is it better to buy the house now, even though I know in like 20 years the house will be older, the house would obviously have appreciated, or should I give them a down payment in the future for them to buy a house?
Got it. I thank you for that question. So the short answer to that question is buy the house now. And the reason is inflation, inflation, inflation. I don't know if you've been going to grocery shops where a pack of salmon that was worth $30 is now worth $60 within the last 3 months. So I have power now, I can work, I can accumulate money, but the value of my money today is not going to be the value in 10 years, in 15, 20 years. So even if I have $1 million now, what is the value of $1 million? Or even you think about it, what is the value of, let's say $1 million years ago when I left Nigeria? Every time I people say 1 million naira, I'm thinking it's big money. Did you convert it? It's only $2,000, $3,000. But in Nigeria, the old house that my father built is probably worth probably use 1 million naira to build it as of then. So that is why you want to invest now, tie it on a tangible thing, because tangible things especially would appreciate. So you want to invest right now because the value of that thing is going to be a lot more in future. And if you are the person that fears toilets, that fears tenants, that fear all those things, one, you can learn about it. It's not that difficult. Number 2 is you can partner with someone that doesn't mind those problems. At least build from ground zero, and then in the future you can move away from tenants. Like I am moving away from tenants a little bit. I still have tenants, but I'm moving into other things because I've gathered enough funds to start building, to start doing other things, right? So you start from somewhere and you scale, right? And I always say, what if I die today? If I die today, the things that I own today are my kids. The money and all of those things, because sometimes those children may not get it, right? So it's all of those things, but inflation plays a very big role into whether or not, but of course you're buying it in your name. It's for you to kind of calculate, I want one property for each children. So I know now, I need one property for each children. I want one property for all my family needs, or all my related cousins and everybody that will be coming out here soon. One property to take care of it. Another one property for, let's say, retirement, because I want to retire, So now I know I want 5 properties. So it's a way for you to kind of understand how many properties I want. What are the projections of those properties? Before, we used to use 3% appreciation in a year, because inflation was about 4-5%, and we're using conservatively. Even if my house appreciated 3% every year, what is the value in the next 10-15 years? And that's how I know how much I can leave for my children in the next 15 years. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you very much. I think we take the last question here, and I think it's in the chat. It's from M3. Do you want to read it out, M3?
He said no.
Okay, driving. Okay, then I'll read it for you. It says realistically, what's the minimum for partnership purchase for a property in Brampton? Brampton, 80K,
Um,
7 people from your experience. Like,
sorry,
how much do
first.
you need per person? Is 80K enough per person to buy a property to invest there?
Okay, I would say that again, it depends. I know you guys don't want to hear that, but it really depends, honestly, because there are properties that are worth, let's say on average in Canada, I was in Brampton right now, our property is about $1 million. So if you're buying $1 million property and you need 20% down, which is $200,000, maybe 3 people, 4 people. When I'm doing smaller, like single family residents, which are like, one single family living or 2 single family, I don't like too much investors coming together and then this one is calling you, this one is calling you, this one is calling you, and that's the question. No. But if it's something like 20 units, 30 units apartments, yes, you can make more, you can have a structured way of giving reports back. But when it's just smaller investments, I don't think 7 people is a good number. I think maybe 3 people the most. You guys can have more concise and understand each other a little bit more. But when you're bigger projects too, like I have investors. I announced in my last webinar, I think it was a 20 units property that we're working on. Excuse me. And that property is worth $2.5 million in London, Ontario. And we're trying to look, I say it's $50,000 minimum budget. So everybody that is coming in is $50,000. So to me, that's worth my time because I have assistant I can hire, we pay them, they do all the reports, they put everything together. It's a little better on the economies of scale. But if it's smaller property again, maybe 2 or 3 people, I think it's just better. From experience, it's better that way.
Yeah, so just to expatiate on that, like for example, the $2 million multi investment. So is this set up as like a corporation? Because I'm also looking at, if I have to borrow that 50K, let's say I use my line of credit to invest. And I know if I borrow to invest from a tax perspective, I can deduct the interest costs. Is that also, is that a possibility with the type of investment you're talking about?
For sure, whatever means of money that you want to bring in is up to you, as long as that money is legal, right? I won't take any money that is not legal. I don't take money from Nigeria. I don't transfer money from Nigeria, please. But as long as the money is in the system and it's legal and it's traceable, yes, you can do that. But the minimum purchase entry point is $50,000.
Okay, so is this set up as a, so I can, like, I'm saying for the purpose of taxes, like I pay interest on that 50K. When for example, you pay me every year, maybe I generate $10,000 from that investment. I can deduct whatever interest payment
Yes.
I paid. Okay, cool. So that means, folks, like if you have line of credit, you don't necessarily have to save up 50 grand to invest, right? You could tap into your line of credit, tap into your refinance money. And the good thing is that if you're investing, the interest is tax deductible, right? So which means the cost of actually borrowing that money, you can actually deduct it against your taxes. And that's actually smart.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other final question before we call it a day?
So, Deborah, as a bonus to us, is there any project you're currently working on right now that is still open that people can tap into?
That's the only one that I'm working on right now. But if you guys, I think that my brother can go on my Instagram page. There's a JV link over there. So if you register for my JV and you fill out all the information, I would send projects to you that I'm working on. The reason why I do that again is I only buy properties that I know I'm going to make money. Otherwise, it's not worth my time, right? So we are always strategically looking for projects. It's not everything on the market that makes sense. If your property is staying on the market for 200 days, 100 days, trust me, there's a lot of us investors and we are like sharks. If that property made sense, it wouldn't be there. Just trust me. Before properties get there, we have already taken it. So that's why it takes me time to get back to people, and I'll get back to top people. But right now, that's the only project that I'm working on. Yes.
Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much. I think this brings us to the end of of the Insight Investment Series. So thank you so much, Deborah. This is very, very insightful. Personally, I learned a lot, and thank you for taking the time to come and educate us. There are so many things we didn't know, and today, personally, I have learned a lot. And on behalf of all the participants, I really want to thank you for coming, and I also want to thank all the participants for taking their time. I know it's evening, you guys are busy, most of you are family people, you have kids and all that stuff, but for taking the time to come and join us to learn together, this is I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Olufela, do you have any final words before we wrap it up?
Yeah, thank you everyone. Just to add, we'll continue our series, and we're still planning towards our in-person event. That's still on the table. We're just trying to finalize many things. Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you, Deborah. And we'll connect, and hopefully, people can get some great deals from you. Thank you.
For sure. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good night. Follow me on Instagram, Deborahomes. And thank you so much, my brother. I think you guys are doing an amazing thing. Remember, guys, there's nothing that is impossible. It's just asking, how is it done? Okay. See you on the top.
Thank you. Bye.